TitleMatchNetwork.com.
I wrestled Backlund 2 different times, title versus title. Well, actually 3. In Madison Square Gardens, a count out or disqualification under NWA rules, whichever one of them were under NWA rules, title could not change hands. So it didn't bother that I got disqualified there.
Right.
You know, nothing happened. It didn't hurt Backlund, didn't hurt me. And Vince Sr., who was a prince of a guy, if he gave you his word on anything, it was good. Did him a favor. And then in Jacksonville, Florida, we went an hour. And I think I probably started the thing with Bobby. I used to call him Howdy Doody.
Right.
The third match was in St. Louis. And again, there, if you went over the top rope, the promotion didn't stop it, but the Missouri State Athletic Commission back then would stop it.
Right.
And I won via disqualification there.
Also, they did a title change. I guess it was New Zealand, where you won the belt in New Zealand and you lost it in Singapore, I believe.
Again, in that era, I could do pretty much what I wanted to do.
Around 19, I don't want to skip over anything, but around 1973, I guess you won the belt from Dory Jr.
Yes.
And you lost it maybe, I guess Dory held it for maybe 2 months and then you got it back, I believe.
No, Dory held it for a little over 4.5 years. I took it from him in May of 73 and lost it to Jack Briscoe in July of 73.
What were some of those matches like?
With
Dory, and then we'll talk about Jack.
Every one of them was right at an hour. And Jack, the belt virtually destroyed Jack. Back during that point in time, the belt, you were predominantly the bad guy.
Right.
And they bring Jack in, and Jack had to be a bad guy against somebody. You know, there was just no fit there, period.
Right.
Junior could adjust to it real well because he'd been around his father, who was a rough, tough old guy all of his life, and could wrestle either direction. So it worked real well with Junior. When I took it, I had a background of going both ways, so it was fairly easy for me to do. Terry came along and was champion, beat Jack Briscoe. Eventually I took it from Terry in Toronto. And Terry thought he was going to be the first buffoon champion. He did a lot of goofy crap.
Right. What were your first impressions when you met Terry?
I met Terry. Terry was still in, I think, high school. And then when I went back to Texas this was when I was there in early part of 63. He was in school. I came back there in 69 and he was wrestling then.
All right. Did you buy into the Kansas City territory?
In 1970.
All right. What was that like as far as?
Well, for a number of years, it was very good.
All right. And what are some of your memories of your match with Dusty Rhodes? Dusty for a big guy, and really not an in shape guy, just a big guy. Had probably as big a heart as far as being able to do what he loved to do, as well as about anybody around back at that time. I've had several hour Broadways with Dusty Rhodes, and nobody looking at it would think he could ever go an hour. Fritz refereed our last tango in Tampa, and it was hot, sultry as all hell. Finally, about halfway through, Fritz blew up so bad he just laid on the mat. He knew sooner or later we were going to come back down there anyhow. So. Right.
But Dusty and I had a
difference of opinion and styles, but as far as ability in the ring, Dusty could work with anybody.
He had a lot of charisma too.
Yes. It was a big ego trip between him and Flair back then.
Right.
I think at one point in time, both of them spent about $30,000 a piece on robes. One trying to outdo the other one, who had the prettiest robe. When I first met Roddy, he was out in Los Angeles with Adrian Adonis, who wasn't Adrian Adonis.
Right. Would this be the 70s with Pat Patterson and
Guerreros?
Moondog Man?
He was in, that was up in the north
San
end.
Francisco. Right.
Yeah, this was in L.A. with Leo Garibaldi and Mike LaBelle.
Right.
Chavo was just making it real big then. Piper's always been Piper. He's always been a funny, hyper type guy. The guy that did a total 180 is Adrian. I forget his real name, Keith something or other. Remember?
Offhand at all.
Nah.
He was as good a looking kid as Piper was then, body wise, everything. When I finally saw him again when I went to New York, I thought, my Jesus.
Yeah.
But I guess to each his own, you know. Steamboat in the early middle 80s was as good as there was out there. There's nothing he couldn't do, nothing he wouldn't try. And looks wise, you couldn't ask for anything that looked better.
I guess somebody was telling us that when they saw that they were working with Ricky Steamboat on the wall on the sheet, that they were thrilled because he's like probably one of the best guys to work with.
If you could keep up with him.
Right.
And a lot of people couldn't keep up with him.
What are your memories of your wrestling matches with the Road Warriors? You had a lot of matches with them. When they first broke into the business in Georgia and stuff.
For their size and stuff back then, they were as good a team as there was out there. And they proved to hell they sold out every building. Back when Barnett started to expand out of Georgia, that was what he expanded out with, was the Road Warriors. They were a great team.
Stan Hansen was down there at the time as well, I believe.
Yeah. Stan's another one of those guys that his style fits Japan perfectly.
He's made a career out of it.
Yeah. Never ever really got over that well here in the States.
Was it because he's difficult to work with as a wrestler, or is it just his style, or
just his style? You cannot, if you let Stan Hansen be Stan Hansen, he's fine.
Right.
But if you try to wrestle him, or it's just
too stiff
all together. Well, I never worried about anybody being stiff.
Right. What I guess you also worked a lot with Danny Hodge.
I've wrestled Danny on several occasions. Again, when he was coming in and out of Minneapolis in tag team situations. I've never wrestled Danny Hodge in a single match.
Really?
TitleMatchNetwork.com